It is a bug, but it's not enough to push me to play Madden, so it doesn't really matter. What is up, everybody? It is Jake back with the MF Film Room. Thank you so much for being here. If you want to be up to date on all things EA college football, hit that red subscribe button, hit the like button, and follow me on Twitter and Instagram. If you like college football content, go subscribe to my other channel, Master Football with Jake Posey. Link is in the description. But enough about all that EA college football content. Let's go. All right, guys, I'm sitting here because my friends are out of town and the dynasty is on hold right now. I could get a side dynasty, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to answer a question that I've seen people try to answer out there on the internet, but I haven't liked the answers that I've gotten, so I'm going to try and answer it myself. That answer is, what can you do with athletes? So athletes are really unique, especially to college football, because somebody can come in. Now, in pro football, it's a little bit more like they generally know what you're going to play. College, it's like you got kind of a wide variety. You can play this, you can play that. As an example, Julius Peppers, when he was coming out of college, he was the #1 rated utility back, capable of playing any and every position out on the field. I remember that was a quote that Brendan Haywood, the NBA player, said about Julius Peppers. So one of those kind of guys, those happen a lot more in college football. You're a receiver, nope, you're going to be a corner. You're a 6'4" receiver, nope, you're a 6'4" corner. You're a really good defensive end, no, you're going to be a really good tight end. You're a really big receiver, nope, you're going to be a tight end. You're a really big tight end, you're going to be a left tackle. There's lots of things like that where you can switch people around. So what I wanted to do is find what are the capabilities of this game with these athletes? What can you do? What switches happen when and where? I decided to review all the positions. So be sure to check below. You're going to see all of those different chapters in here so you can skip ahead to the positions that you want to look at. And also at the very end, I'm going to be reviewing all the athlete archetypes and my favorite ones out of all of those. Again, please stay till the very end, but if not, you can skip ahead with all those things. Without further ado, let's get talking about some athletes. All right, so for my methodology here, what we did was I created dynasties and recruited 12 to 15 athletes of a particular tendency. And there's 9 tendencies out there for athletes out there. There's Agile OL line, Elusive back, wide receiver, physical wide receiver, a possession tight end, power back, power rusher, receiving back, a run stopper as a linebacker, and then a scrambler. I aim for 4 to 2-star players. So basically, I try to do a 4 to 5 recruits at the per star level, meaning 4 4s, 4 3s, 4 2s, just to kind of see. I occasionally got a 5. Sometimes I couldn't have any 2, so I had to go down and get a 1, but generally kind of kept it around there. I used Georgia each time. First of all, Georgia is a freaking cheat code for recruiting. And then I set the max points at the beginning of the season, then skipped ahead to the National Signing Day, aka position changes, just so we could kind of get this thing going. There were a couple limitations to this, and again, I'm going to need some of your involvement here to help me out with this. So some of the limitations here was I was not able to have every recruit commit who I approached. I had 15. I didn't do 50 yet or 35 with the maximum amount. I just did 15 and recruited them. Is this a smart thing to do for recruiting? No, but I just wanted to see what it was. So again, I wasn't able to kind of get everybody I wanted to. So with that, the sample size was a little bit smaller than it needed to be. Again, I may have missed some unique archetypes out there. So you guys know what you found in the comments and get in there and let me know hey, I found this. Hey, I found that, if I wasn't able to find it with my research here. Another big thing here, make sure that we beware about this. Speed rushing linebackers are not recognized archetypes when it comes to training. If you have a player who's a linebacker and it's a speed rusher, then only if they're a senior or senior redshirt you would want to do that, because beyond that, they won't train. It is a bug, but it's not enough to push me to play Madden, so it doesn't really matter. And if you Google it, you'll see it right here. Speed rusher linebackers don't get physical abilities. They aren't progressing because they're labeled as something like this. If speed rushing broke them, but you all know what it is here. You cannot do this for speed rushing outside linebacker. If you switch them to that, they stay like that. So don't do it. If you try and train them, they won't move. They won't progress. So make sure you understand that when you're going into looking at these athletes like, oh man, he's a 76 speed rushing outside linebacker. And that's all he's ever going to be. All right, first up is the Agile. I did these in alphabetical order here. The Agile offensive lineman. So in my personal opinion, I love these guys. I'll let you guys know they're going to be close on my list at the end here. They are fast for an offensive lineman and some interior defensive lineman. 65 speed, 75 acceleration is kind of like the worst case scenario. 75 speed, 8 acceleration is very common even amongst 3-star recruits and lower. They're also strong enough, usually around 90 strength. So you can get a 75 speed, 80 acceleration, 90 strength offensive lineman, or even kick him into defense, whatever you want to do there. They're marginal blockers, so they're usually around 60 to 75 or 60 to 70 for all blocking skills. Their lead block and their lead block and impact block is the best there. I don't know why I put could there. And then they're below average block shedding and power moves, but they're great finesse moves. So they're speed rushing interior defensive linemen. Check these guys out. So checking out these athlete offensive linemen, you can see them there. They're all athletes, and they're going through their all agile tendency. Look at there. This guy's the worst guy. 68 speed, 78 acceleration, 84 strength. As a defensive tackle, that's actually pretty good. And you keep on continuing here. They have no running abilities, no throwing abilities. Their offensive line abilities they're okay. So 60 pass block, 50 run block. They'll typically have really good impact block. I know he doesn't, but you come down here, these guys will have like 86 impact block and things like that. So again, they're offensive linemen. They're kind of projects. You kind of have to be patient with them. Now they're freaky athletic for offensive linemen. Defensive wise, again, their block shedding might not be great, but you'll see that their finesse moves are typically pretty good. So 65 block shedding is not that great, but 80 finesse moves is. Again, they can't really cover. They're able to pursue. They can't really cover here. But you come over here and check out what this kind of looks like here. This guy right here, Alex Head, he is 56 overall, but I can take him 56 overall, and I can turn him into a 65 overall speed rusher. So that's a +9 from what he is originally. He is originally an agile center, but you kick him into defense, that's +9. That's what we're trying to find with athletes. You really like what this is right here. All right, up next is the elusive back. Now, in my opinion, I think that they're better wide receivers than the running backs. Again, the top-level elusive back athletes make elite deep threat receivers. We'll see that here in a second. They've got some blocking abilities were solid, but some weren't. They're not consistent enough to put them at fullback or tight end, and then they'd be a really unique fullback or tight end at like 90, 80 speed, something like that. They'd have like 60 run block, but then like 29 run block power. So if anybody put a move on them, it'd be over. Oddly good pass rushing abilities, which is kind of weird. Again, marginal block shedding ability, so you could be something where he's an edge rusher only. I don't know what you want to do there. And then solid defensive back abilities, except for press. So you're thinking that, okay, you can't be a press corner. You can't really be an every down defensive end. You might be able to pass rush on some occasions, although I like realism a little bit. If there's a 200-pound defensive end, I'm like, all right, well, what's going on here? Again, I think what you could do here, an off-ball safety that maybe blitzes here, but my opinion, wide receiver with some running back abilities. A lot of those really good receivers out there came and used to be running backs before DJ Moore, things like that. I wouldn't mind doing something like that. That's just me, though. So checking out these elusive backs, you can see here that, again, even with these guys right here, these guys aren't necessarily great. This guy is Marquez Arma. He's a 54 overall elusive back. But I can switch him, and he can come down here, and he can be a physical wide receiver. So 54 to 59, again, he's not great, but you can kick him up. He's typically going to be a lot better. 64 fullback, that's just because of his running back abilities are so good. I wouldn't treat that as gospel. Now, this is a personal opinion of mine, but this guy right here, Adrian York, is a 74 overall elusive back. I would like him as a 75 deep threat wide receiver. The reason being is because you come over here, 96 speed, 93 acceleration, but we're also going to see the fact that he's got some ball carrier vision, some break tackles, some trucking, some stiff arms, some juke. So this is a guy who can beat you deep. You get it to him underneath, he can break a tackle. He's a really unique athlete. I would want a top-level elusive back as a wide receiver. Again, he's only 5'11", but you come over here and check out his abilities. Again, he's got 79 short route, 74 medium, 79 deep, 82 release. He would be an absolute problem as a wide receiver before the catch, after the catch, during the catch, all of that. All right, next up is the physical wide receiver. So the physical wide receiver is, they're better receiving backs than wide receivers, in my opinion. Again, the reason why is because they actually have some tackle breaking ability, but as a receiving back, they're going to have some unique things that they'll be a really tall receiving back. But again, they're terrible blockers. Again, you're average for a wide receiver. You could be a tight end, but it would be a name and only, basically meaning like, oh, he's a tight end. But if he blocks, he's got like 45 run block or something like that. He get destroyed. DB level defensive abilities here in terms of tackle, hit power, pursuit, and coverage abilities. Kind of like a free safety. Like I said, they cannot press. This is a commonality with a lot of athletes here. They can't press. Block shedding and defensive moves are bad, so you don't really want them involved in anything with that. But they would be a very unique free safety, especially off the deep free safety, because their ability to cover, their ability to run, change direction, their spectacular catch, diving, interceptions, things like that. They'd be really unique for a position like that. So for this first guy, Demarius Durbin, he's 54 overall. He's absolutely terrible. But again, with those unique abilities, a free safety with good spectacular catch, good for a free safety. He might be interesting. I know that they're putting here at physical wide receiver, vertical threat tight end. Don't do that. Unless you just want to just call passes. That if you ask him to block, he's going to be terrible. You can be a physical receiver. He's already done it. But I think that a free safety like this, again, he actually would get worse, but he'd have some unique abilities that most free safeties don't have. So with Miguel Estorino, my boy here, again, the same situation. Hybrid safety, kick him back, put him deep. He'd be something like that. That'd be pretty good. Slot, he has terrible press. Do not do that. You could do linebacker. He can't get off blocks. Receiving back, he would be a very unique receiving back. He'd be faster than most receiving backs. Most receiving backs are a little smaller. He's a little bit bigger here, but again, he would be, because of his receiving abilities, he'd be a unique matchup problem that you could do out there for a running back. So remember here, these guys, you do not want them to be, you might, oh yeah, he's a 6'4" corner, but he's got 30, 44, 31, 27, 36 press. You do not want to do that. You want to keep them deep, or put them on a receiver, maybe put them as a receiving running back. That's kind of where they fit in. All right, up next is the possession tight end. And the possession tight end, I'll let you guys know right now, foreshadowing, I'm not a very big fan of the possession tight end. Reason being is because they're not particularly athletic anywhere in the field. They would be a fast, but they'd be a terrible offensive lineman. They're a tight end or fullback only, basically, on offense. They actually have good tackle, hit power, and pursuit abilities, but their block shedding, pass rush moves, and coverage abilities are marginal. They're terrible at press. And again, that's the big one here. They're terrible at press. Off-ball linebacker only on defense, basically. They don't really have the speed to be a deep free safety, so I don't really see where you fit them in. Basically, you pick a tight end, put him a fullback, and that's kind of what you do with these guys. So just look at these guys. You can tell that like 76 speed, 82 acceleration. Now, these are bad, but I come down here to these guys who are a little bit better, these 65s, and they're kind of okay. 83 speed, 82 acceleration, 70 change of direction, 79 strength. Again, they could play a maybe linebacker, but they're really not spectacular at anything. Again, they've got okay catching abilities, just like a tight end would be. Their blocking abilities are basically solid. You see these 60s here. Those are pretty good. Go over here to like play recognition. They have some. Tackle, they have some. Hit power, they have some. This guy's got some good hit power here. But then you look at it like block shedding's okay. Finesse moves, power moves are all right. Pursuit's pretty good. Man coverage is bad. Zone coverage is decent. Press is absolutely terrible. So you can't play them at safety. You really can't play them at defensive tackle. You might be able to play them at defensive end, but they don't really have very good pass rush moves. Maybe a run-stopping defensive end, a run-stopping outside linebacker or something like that. But basically, they're tight end, maybe fullback, off-ball linebacker if you really, really need them to be. All right, up next is the power back. Now, the power back has some cool aspects about it, but we're going to run into that speed rushing linebacker situation, so pay attention here. So running backs on offense, wide receiver skills are marginal. They can't block well. They can't throw. They're basically RB only. They can't really cover at all. They have marginal block shedding ability, but they've got really, really unique and intriguing pass rush abilities. Remember, you can't train at speed rushing linebacker, so this would be speed rushing defensive end only on defense. But it's pretty reasonable. You can find a 90 speed, 90 acceleration, 80 strength, and 70 75 finesse moves defensive end from these guys. They have to be a pass rush defensive end, not a base defensive end. You don't want them playing every single down. But they've got some unique abilities here. Again, this is one of those things. You're trying to find a unique area where somebody can be successful. This guy would be something like, okay, well, we're loaded at running back, but you'd be really cool coming off the edge on 3rd and long. So this guy right here is a perfect example. He's a 51 overall running back. You're like, that's terrible. Absolutely worthless to me. However, he is a 65 overall pass rushing defensive end. Now remember, don't do the speed rushing outside linebacker. You don't want to do that. But he's 51 power back and a 65, so plus 14 switching him over. Now I know 5'8", 226 is a little unrealistic for a defensive end. His arm length and this, I know we could probably get into that. But this is an area, especially with the strength-wise, it might not be a bad idea to put him out there. Again, I really like him just as a running back. But as a speed rushing defensive end, 3rd down, something like that, he's a really unique athleticism profile, and he's got some pretty decent moves too. Now, it doesn't always occur like that. As an example, this guy right here, he is a much better running back, or a better running back than he is a power rusher. But that's not a bad thing to do, to put a 6'2", 228 power rusher with 91 speed on the field. Again, that's something you could look into when you see these sorts of guys. So up next is the power rusher here. Again, these guys are good athletes in a straight line. 80 speed, 80 acceleration, 80 strength, and 65 change directions. Kind of common. They're absolutely worthless on offense. They could oddly impact block, but that's basically it. They cannot cover to save their lives, so don't even think about it. Their pass rushing abilities are solid, and towards the higher caliber players, you have some block shedding abilities. They may be a run defense specialist for an off-ball linebacker, but generally pass rushing linebacker and defensive end, and the higher level ones could be pass rushing DTs. You can get some pretty good players. So checking these guys out, and again, what you see here, 74 speed, 80 acceleration, 80 strength. You're generally looking kind of around there. Sometimes 82, 80, or 81, 82, 83. You can get a little bit higher there. Now, you see the fact that there's this big jump with the 75. The big reason why is that if we go over on all these guys here, again, they can't really touch the ball. They can't throw the ball. They can't block. They can't really do anything there on the offensive side of the ball. We get over here to tackle, so they can tackle. A little bit of play recognition. That's not very great. They're freshmen. Hit power is decent. The block shedding abilities for most of these guys is not great, but their pass rush moves are pretty good. Finesse moves and power moves. Sometimes they'll be more, towards the power moves. sometimes more towards the finesse moves. Their pursuit's solid. Their man coverage, their zone coverage, and press is terrible. But you can see here, when we get over here to this guy down here at the bottom, this guy's got 70 block shedding. So this would be the only one that I would consider putting a defensive tackle, because you got 70 block shedding, which is solid. And then you go over here and you see first of all, he's 75 overall. He can do basically anything he wants to. 82 speed, 86 acceleration, 90 strength. This guy right here would be a very, very unique speed rushing DT. I know he's better at power rusher, but again, I want to put guys on the field and give them a unique ability to be successful and be kind of like a unicorn out there. This guy would be a unicorn defensive tackle as a speed rusher. He'd be tough to stop. All right, up next is the receiving back. Now, the receiving back is basically running back or slot receiver only on offense. They can't really run deep routes. They've got solid offensive moves, so jukes and spins and trucks and things like that. It could be a cool slot receiver in a run-heavy offense that involves a lot of jet sweeps and options with the wide receivers. That might actually be a cool area we can have these guys in. He sheds blocks like a zone free safety. All levels of defense below safety are out. Basically, you can't put him at linebacker. You can't put him at corner. You can't put him at inside linebacker, pass rusher, defensive tackle. You can't put him there. He cannot press, but he's got oddly good pass rush moves, which is really weird. He could be a deep free safety with blitzing ability, or it could be a pass rushing DN. Now, the thing about the pass rushing DN is, like, with the power running back, they could be like 6'1", 230 and a power rushing defensive end. That makes a little bit more sense. But a pass rushing defensive end who's 5'8" and 180 pounds, like, they actually might register as like 71 overall. Like, I can't do that. That's just me. You guys tell me I can't do this. That's too fake. It's not realistic. It would upset me seeing a guy out there who's going up against an offensive tackle who is 6'7", 330 or something like that. It just would be completely unrealistic. So checking these guys out, again, their defensive abilities are all right. They've got some tackle breaking abilities here, breaking tackle, ball carrier, vision carry, and you'll come over here and you'll check them out. They will have some short route. So you can go down here to these higher level guys. They have 76 short route, 75 short route. Generally, their deep route's going to be pretty weak. So you wouldn't really want 73 release is actually pretty decent. But then you're like, okay, well, I maybe put these guys over here at receiver just because they've got some tackle breaking abilities. Going over here to the defensive abilities, you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. This guy's got 49. This guy's not very good at all. He's 46 overall, but he's got 75 finesse moves. Now, he's 5'8", 178. I don't know about that, but he's got 61 man, 57 zone, 29 press. He could be a deep safety who could blitz. That could be something that he does. But again, me being me, 49 block shedding, you don't want him getting touched because he's going to get absolutely murdered. But he's basically a safety with some unique blitzing abilities. He's a running back, or he's a wide receiver with some tackle breaking abilities. That's kind of what you're looking at there. All right, up next is, I'm going to let you guys know, this is an early heavy favorite that I like this, the run stopper linebacker. The reason why, just listen to me here. They're worthless on offense. They're absolutely worthless. Again, if you guys out there find some, I've already told you guys, if you guys find something that's a unique run stopper linebacker who can be a running back, you guys show me. I haven't been able to see it so much. But they're worthless on offense. They does not really do anything great on defense, but can do everything good enough. So you can put them a lot of different places. The cool thing about this type of guy is he's the guy you're like, I don't know what I need, or I just need some bodies. You can put these guys in there and move them around. I need to fill a spot here. I need to fill a spot there. They're really good at doing that. They can play anywhere on defense except for cornerback and defensive tackle. Like the power rusher athlete, but they have change of direction and coverage abilities. They're also faster. I like these guys a lot. Again, they're the best athlete for positionless defense. What I mean by that is not a defense that has no positions, but like being able to put certain guys at multiple different things. They could play 3-2-6 defense, the linebacker, the safety, a 4-3 defensive end. You can't do a linebacker because they're probably going to be a speed rusher. But these guys right here, basically, 4-3 defensive end, 3-4 outside linebacker, as long as they're not a speed rusher. 4-3 outside linebacker, 4-3 middle linebacker, 3-4 inside linebacker, and both safeties. You could do all of that. These guys would be really, really good about putting different areas. Again, they're not the biggest hitters. They're not the best at block shedding. They're not the best pass rushers, but they do basically everything. So coming over here and checking these guys out. Again, even with these guys right here, who are 58 overall, all the way down here to these guys who are 73 overall. You're going to see some commonalities here. A lot of them can be fast. They have good change of direction and strength. Now we come over here again. Offense is just out. Don't even worry about it. Again, if you find some, you guys let me know. But you can see here, play recognition's it's not great. They're freshmen, but tackle, hit power is good enough. It's not great. Block shedding is good enough. It's not great. Finesse moves, power moves, pursuit, man coverage, zone coverage, and even some press abilities. So I've seen a lot of variation with these guys. This guy right here with 57 press, he might not be a strong safety, but this guy could be a strong safety in a 3-3-5. This guy right here has 71 power moves and 73 finesse moves. This guy might be a defensive end. This guy only has 65 power moves. So you can see the fact there's lots of cool things you can do with these guys across the board. Again, you remember, I'm looking for unique abilities, putting people in unique spots to have them be, advantages that you don't normally get. So check this out. This guy right here is Deontay Kenyon. He has 91 speed, 90 acceleration, 75 strength. Now, he's a 67 run stopper linebacker, which is all right. 67 run stopper linebacker is okay. Where I want him to be is I want him to be a 72 overall. So he goes up 5, and he's got 90 speed as a pass rushing defensive end. He's a freshman. Can you imagine how good this guy's going to be? If he had like impact star or elite dev trait, this guy would be a terror coming off the edge. 90 speed as a freshman. All of his pass rushing abilities go up beyond that. Again, this is what you're looking for. You're looking for unique scenarios to have people be successful. Nobody is escaping out of the pocket on this guy's side ever. It's just never going to happen. That's what you like with the run stopper linebacker. I like these guys a lot. All right, last but not least is the Scrambler quarterback. In my opinion, has the highest level of variation on all the athletes, especially on the offensive side. I know I just said that about the run stopper linebacker, who I'm in love with, but the Scrambler quarterback's got a lot of variation. Basically, you can play quarterback, running back, or wide receiver. Now, they can't block enough to play fullback, tight end, or offensive lineman. They're also too small. They got some have defensive abilities and some don't. So these guys are basically like quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and sometimes deep safeties. I say deep safeties because they don't have press or shed blocks. They have some pass rush moves, which is really weird. These guys will have like 49 block shedding, but 75 finesse moves. Again, you'll find that with these Scrambler quarterbacks. A QB on offense or skill position that can pass is the primary switch for this guy. You could play some deep free safety type that blitzes similar to the receiving back. I think these guys might be a little bit faster, maybe a little stronger than receiving backs. But in my opinion here, you have a Scrambler quarterback because you want to have a wide receiver who's okay, but he can throw the ball, or a running back who's okay, but he can throw the ball. That's kind of what you're looking for with these Scrambler quarterbacks. So there's a lot of variation with these guys. This guy's got 82 speed. This guy's got 79 speed. This guy's got 92 speed. So it just depends kind of what's going on there with these guys. You'll see the fact that like some have higher carry, some have better ball. This guy right here I actually think would be a really, really cool running back. He might not be as good of a running back as he is as a quarterback, but this guy right here got Monty Nortman, your boy, 6'5", 216 at running back. Hey, whatever. But you see this here at an elusive back with the ability to throw the ball. Again, that's what I'm looking for. That's super unique. You can't find that. You have a halfback pass or a wildcat or something like that, and he's got freaking like 90 throw power and some accuracy with him. That's a unique scenario you can do with a guy like this. And you'll see here that some of these guys, like these guys are terrible. 48 man coverage, that's terrible. But then it'll jump up with the 68 here, 39 press. So like this athlete quarterback can play defensive back, whereas like this one can't. So you'll see a little bit of variation with those guys, in addition to some have receiving skills, some don't, running back skills. There's a ton of variation with the Scrambler quarterback athlete. All right, and finally with our ranking. So we're going to go through the 4 through 9 really quickly here, and then we'll go through 1 through 3 at the end. So the last place for me, possession tight end. Their tight ends are fullbacks only. They're not athletic. You can play off-ball linebacker, but they're slow at that. I don't really like them very much. The next up is power rusher. Not that they're bad, but there's no benefit to recruiting a power rusher. You're basically just a power rushing defensive end or an outside linebacker or a defensive tackle on occasion, but there's no really reason to recruit an athlete in that instance. Up next is the receiving back. Like I said, they only work in very specific roles on offense and defense. Deep safety who might blitz every once in a while, or a wide receiver or a running back, or like I said, a wide receiver who only catches short passes. Physical wide receiver is basically that, but they have the ability to a little bit more spectacular catch. If you were to put them in free safety, more diving interceptions, something like that. Up next is the Scrambler. The Scrambler is very versatile, but you have to go out of your way to find a role beyond just playing quarterback. Like I said, you could find a 74 quarterback who we switch to a 75 running back who can throw the ball. That's kind of cool. But beyond that, though, I don't really see a big, addition to having a Scrambler. Some can play DB, some can't. I don't really care. Next up is the elusive back. The reason why I like them, they're so close, is because if you get a really good elusive back, the entire controller is at your disposal. Spin, juke, truck, stiff arm, they can do all that in addition to release, in addition to being able to catch the ball. I love what they have, especially if you move them there. It's kind of all that they have. Again, you can put them at free safety and blitz them, but they can't really press and they can't really get off blocks. But again, I really like that switch, or elusive back, especially a really good elusive back, switching to wide receiver. 5'11", 210 or something like that, but he's super fast and can basically do everything a receiver can and everything that a running back can. Super unique player. All right, my top three. The power running back. The reason why it's basically the same thing as an elusive running back and the same thing as a receiving running back, but these guys are bigger. So like a 6'1", 230-pound defensive end with 90 speed, 90 acceleration, 80 strength, and 75 finesse moves. That's very realistic day one. Again, a very unique pass rushing ability with the speed and the strength. They're also solid running backs. Again, but that's just what they are. Number two is the agile offensive lineman. I love these guys because they have elite level athleticism offensive linemen and very athletic DTs. It could be a bit of a project on the offensive line. Their blocking abilities aren't that great. But again, until if you get one here, you can get a guy with 80 speed, 80 acceleration, 90 strength is very, very realistic for an offensive lineman. And that's that's a freakish athleticism for offensive linemen. And on defensive line, you can't do, that's awesome to have that too for a defensive tackle. Probably interior guy. You don't want to necessarily put him on the outside. They do have 80 speed. You can do a lot of different things though. And then number one here, I didn't even really recruit these guys ever, but I'm going to be recruiting these guys a lot more often in the future. And that is the run stopper linebacker. They're capable of playing 4-3 defensive end, 3-4 outside linebacker, as long as they're not a speed rusher. Middle linebacker, free safety, strong safety. If you have a gap in your defense and you get to put a run stopper athlete, you can basically put them anywhere you want to. Again, they're not super strong at certain things, but they're weak at nothing. I like the versatility. All right, how would you guys rank them? Get in the comments right now. You guys let me know what you guys have found because again, I have some limitations there. I only did 15 guys. I only did this once. I didn't find the quarterback who has the ability to be a press corner. I didn't find that. I didn't find the run stopper who has the ability to be a quarterback or something like that. So you guys tell me if you find any other variations beyond that, and also like and subscribe too. If you get here all the way to the end, like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. All right, guys, thank you so much for being here. Please remember to like, share, comment, subscribe. Do all that stuff. I really appreciate it. So for me, guys, I'll see you guys later. I am out.